brought to you by Michelob ULTRA, the official beer sponsor of Team USA, who we're about to talk about. Win or lose, you're bound to enjoy the ride with a good beer in hand. And Michelob ULTRA is good beer. It's crisp, light, refreshing, only 95 calories. Order yourself an Ultra 6-pack while we unpack 6 major things going on in the world of basketball right now. 5 of them, for me, involve Team USA. Okay, here we go. All right, so the big thing I love with the Olympics, and we get this every 4 years, and you basically get to go back. You can go back to the games they played in 08 and 12 and 16 and 21 and now this year. The hierarchy of the team. You know I love this stuff. This is my jam. There's usually 3 indispensables on the team that emerge and one like pivotal proven bench guy, which is basically, you think of it as the Melo Wade spot, and it was Tatum in 21. But what happens is they can talk all they want, 10 guys, 12 guys, everybody's going to play, everybody's playing 20 minutes, but there's always a game when all of a sudden, holy shit, we need to win this. And then the minutes start to resemble an actual structure of an NBA game. When you think about, like, there's 200 minutes total in an international game, you can only play 5 guys. The most anybody could play is 40 minutes. So if you go back, the 4 biggest games they've played since 08, which was the 08 gold medal game, USA 118, Spain 107, and LeBron, Wade, Kobe, CP3, and Bosh are all in the 20s for minutes. Melo, Howard, and Darren Williams are the first 3. Kid plays 11. Prince plays 8. Boozer and Red get DNPs. So already 2 guys are just out. When it really comes to nut crunch time, 2 or 3 guys are getting pushed out. 2012 gold medal, USA 107, Spain 100. KD plays 38 minutes, which was an amazing year for KD. It's 2012 finals. He feels like he's going to be an MVP at some point really soon, even though LeBron's the best guy in the league. KD plays 38 of the 40 minutes. They basically can't keep him out of this game. CP3 29, LeBron 29, and got in a little foul trouble. And I was at this game, and we were just sitting there in the fourth quarter. LeBron's at the bench. They can't stop the game. And we're sitting there having a heart attack because they can't get LeBron back in the game. And then Kobe, who was like kind of like old man Kobe at that point, it was like, we're going to lean on him when we need him. And he ends up playing 26, the 4th most minutes. Melo plays 21. Kevin Love plays 18 and plays crunch time against the Gasols down the stretch. And then for the bench, it was Williams. Westbrook played 9 minutes. Chandler played 8. Iguodala, Harden, Davis barely played. So they really went 9 guys, but really it was 6. 2016 semifinal game was the big game that year. USA 82, Spain 76. You know who played the most minutes that game? Klay Thompson, 35 minutes out of the 40. KD played 30. And then DeAndre Jordan, I bet you didn't have him in your bingo card. He played 27. Melo 25, Kyrie 24. And then George, Lowry, Butler, and Cousins were the bench. Draymond Green and DeRozan basically got bumped. So that was that. And then 21 was the most recent one 3 years ago. USA 87, France 82 in the gold medal game. KD, once again, the greatest Olympic player we've had. 35 minutes, plays the most. Drew Holiday was the second best player that year. He played 29. They had kind of a hodgepodge that year because Dame, Bam, Booker, Tatum, they never knew what they were expecting from these guys. So Dame, Bam, Booker, and Tatum were all in the 20s. Green, Zach LaVine, Middleton, 16, 14, and 10 minutes. And then JaVale McGee, Jeremy Grant, Keldon Johnson did not play. So the point is, you have the indispensables. The indispensables in 08, Kobe, LeBron, Melo, Wade off the bench. 2012, KD, LeBron, CP3, Melo off the bench. 2016, KD, Klay, DeAndre Jordan, Melo off the bench. 2021, KD and Drew are the only indispensables, Tatum off the bench, and then hodgepodge depending on who looked good. This brings me to 2024. Who are the indispensables? LeBron, Curry, and Anthony Davis. I think that's our 3. And Tatum in that Melo Wade bench spot. And then probably Drew Holiday as the glue guy, defensive guard, shutdown person, just kind of do everything. I think those are the 5 guys that get the most minutes. So the most interesting thing about that to me is the LeBron piece, because heading into the Olympics, I didn't know if it was going to be, LeBron, we're so happy for you to be here. You and Curry are the faces of the team. Maybe we'll bring you off the bench as a 6th man. Maybe you'll start. You'll play 20 minutes. A little like Kobe in 2012. It's not like that at all. they've given him the car keys. He's the point forward of this team. You can see it against South Sudan. He's the point forward. Curry's playing off him. Steve Kerr basically is using LeBron in this crazy 19.0 version of Draymond Green, where he's using him a little like how he uses Draymond, but with the added bonus that LeBron can shoot, and he's one of the 3 greatest players of all time, and he's the leading scorer in points in NBA history. So you have that, but you also have all the stuff you can still do with Curry and Draymond, but you just do it through LeBron. And then Davis is the other indispensable guy, which leads me to my second thing in this 6-pack. Anthony Davis versus Embiid. Embiid won an MVP. Anthony Davis has never won an MVP. Davis won the 2020 title and was in the mix there for finals MVP, but LeBron had an awesome finals. He made the 2023 Eastern Conference Finals as well. Embiid has lost 6 of his last 9 playoff series. Embiid has never played 12 playoff games in a postseason. Embiid has never played 70 games in a season. Embiid has played 433 games in the last 10 years. Davis has missed the playoffs 6 times. Davis has either been, I'm having an awesome year, or you probably forgot what happened to me this year. Davis, for his career in the playoffs, is averaging 25 and 10 in 50-plus playoff games, which puts him in the company of these guys since the merger. Giannis, Dirk, Jokic, Hakeem, Anthony Davis, that's it. So he's been a really good playoff guy. He's been averaging 26 and 12, 54% field goal was probably for the last few years. But then you look like from 2013 to 24, he's 83rd in playoff games. This century, he's 169th in playoff games played. So he's had this career that's both been really good, but at the same time, I'm not sure it shouldn't have been better. And then you have Embiid, who, you go through his last 7 playoff years, loses to Boston in round 2, had an orbital fracture and a concussion that year, loses to Toronto in game 7 in 2019, the Kawhi shot, had knee tendonitis that year, swept by Boston in 2020. Nothing wrong with him other than Ben Simmons was in exit stage right. 2021, loses to Atlanta in 7. They're up 3-1. He has a torn meniscus in that series. 2022, lost to Miami in 6. Was tied 2-2, and then they lost the last 2. He had a torn thumb ligament, orbital fracture, and a concussion that series. 2023 was the worst one, round 2, up 3-2 in the series. They end up losing to Boston in 7. He had a sprained knee that year. And then 2024, round 1, loses to the Knicks in 6, torn meniscus. I bring this up because he gave this New York Times interview where they talked about greatest player of all time stuff. And the interviewer said, is the implication that you think you would be in the greatest player of all time conversation about the injury problems? And Embiid said, I think so. I think I'm that talented. I obviously need to win championships, and to win championships, you need other guys. You can't do it by yourself. I want to win so bad, but if you don't, you just got to understand that as long as you care about the right stuff, if it doesn't happen, maybe it wasn't meant to be. Which brings me to my third piece of the 6-pack. With Embiid, it's all about the injuries. So he's self-aware enough to say, like, yeah, this could have gone better. I had some bad luck. It's too bad. At the same time, Joel Embiid, there's bad luck. And then there's the question, is your body totally meant to play basketball? Which is a question we wonder about a lot, especially with big guys. We wondered about it with Yao Ming. We wondered about it with Bill Walton. Like, Embiid is talking about himself as like, without the injuries, I'd be in the greatest player of all time conversation. Bill Walton actually did have the injuries and would have been in the greatest player of all time conversation. And we saw when he was healthy, he actually ran through the league and won the title and probably would have had a dynasty. When you're talking about greatest player of all time, first of all, that's ludicrous, because if you're not durable, you can't be in the conversation. And he's never been durable even before he had all these injuries the last 7 years ago. So the better question is, could he have been in the greatest center of all time conversation? Which again, now you're competing against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who wasn't just one of the 3 best players of all time, who didn't just have one of the great start to finish, high school to college to NBA careers we've ever seen, who won all kinds of MVPs, who won, I think, 6 titles by the time it was said and done, but was also astoundingly durable. And over again, if you look at the greatest of all time, durability is a big piece of it. It's a big piece of the LeBron case right now. LeBron might not be able to beat the ceiling of Michael Jordan. He might not have as many MVPs and rings as Kareem, but his case would be the career case. It would be just for 20 plus years, the durability that he had, the reliability, he was just always there over and over again and really was a little bit indestructible. And Embiid was the opposite. So Embiid said in this interview, you think about it, the thing that stopped me all these years is just freak injuries. Every single playoffs, regular season, people falling on my knee or breaking my face twice. It's always freak injuries at the wrong time. That's a piece of it. It doesn't explain what happened in 14 and 15 and why he only played 31 games in the first 3 seasons of his career. And I do have sympathy for him because it sucks when an athlete doesn't reach his potential. But all you have to do is watch him. All you have to do is look at pictures of him when he was at Kansas for that 1 year before he entered the lottery, what he looked like when he was even working out for teams versus what he looked like last season, what he looks like at the Olympics now, where he's just not in the same shape. I could have been one of the best players ever. I had some bad luck. And I also feel like there's some things I would do over again. I would be in better shape. I would try to condition my body better so I could absorb some of this stuff. And it just doesn't seem like he gets it. Even he had some quote later about continuity. On the one hand, I love that we have candid athletes. On the other hand, his career made more sense after I read the interview. Then he says later, and this became a big story this week, where he says, he's talking about Team USA, and he says, you got to understand most of those guys are older. The LeBron now is not the LeBron that was a couple years ago. So it's a big difference. Everyone would also tell you, and you can see for yourself, the athletic LeBron, dominant that he was a couple years ago, is not the same that he is now. I think people get fooled by the names on paper, but those names have been built throughout their career, and now they're older. They're not what they used to be. That's a crazy thing to say about somebody you're about to play in the Olympics with. And conversely, if reporters went to LeBron and said, hey, what'd you think about what Embiid said to you about how you're not the same guy? And LeBron said, he's probably right to some degree. I'm 40 years old. I've been in the NBA forever, but, I feel like I can get 95% there. But if I was Joel, I would be worried about trying to stay in. I wouldn't be worrying about other players. I'd be worried about me. We wish Joel was in shape. He's only playing 14 to 16 minutes a game for us at Team USA. I wish he was in better shape. I'm sure if you talk to anybody in the Sixers and gave them truth serum, like in True Lies, I'm sure all of them would say, we wish Embiid was in better shape. The results are the results. You can talk about bad luck all you want, but he's never played in round 3 in the playoffs. And at some point, you would think, like, is this guy going to approach basketball from, I'm getting better as an offensive player, which I think he has. I think he's the most talented offensive center we've had since Kareem. But there's that other, are you in the best possible shape? Are you absolutely ripped? Did we read some article about all the stuff you did and you're the Versa climber and you're swimming? Like, we've just never seen that. And I don't think we're going to. We didn't see it with Shaq. Some guys just don't have it. And so I guess I'm pushing back on the could have been the greatest player ever thing, because we've just never seen the off the court work discipline from him that all the other great guys had, that Jordan had, that Kareem had, that LeBron had, that even Bill Russell in the 60s, 50s and 60s, when, nobody had any of this stuff and he was still out there all the time. The only time he got hurt was the 1958 finals. So just wish Joel Embiid was a little more self-aware. The fourth thing on the six-pack, the 12th Olympic spot, and the concept of this, which is going to dive into Jaylen Brown in 1 second, but when you're picking a team, as we talked about earlier, the minutes, you're going to have that one game where only 9 guys, maybe 10 are going to play. So they're picking this team. They know they're building around AD and Bam and KD and Tatum and LeBron and Curry and Edwards and Drew as the glue guys. So they know they have 8 guys. Then Embiid decides he's going to play. Derek White is in that kind of shutdown defender, backup guard defense spot that you have to have, because all these teams have these fast guards. Teams can go small. You just need guards and you need defense. So White gets that spot over Jalen Suggs, Alex Caruso, whoever you want to talk about there. And then that last spot, Jaylen Brown, you're basically talking about him versus Devin Booker versus Donovan Mitchell, in my opinion. And Mitchell was never really in the mix for this. So it was always Booker, and Booker was on the 21 team, played a lot of minutes. They picked Booker. Booker was in there early, and Booker's a very good international player. But once you do that, now you have KD, you have Tatum, you have LeBron, you have Curry, you have Edwards, you have Drew, and you have Booker. You don't really have minutes for Jaylen Brown, who just won the Finals MVP, who's just on a title team. And now you're going to add him to this team last minute because Kawhi gets shut down and he's not going to play, and that's going to go good from a chemistry standpoint. It's not. The White pick was a chemistry pick. That's it. White's not going to care if he doesn't play or not. Jaylen Brown now playing is a little bit of a different. It's embarrassing. He probably thinks he's on the same level as KD and Tatum and LeBron at this point, and he might not be wrong. So now you're telling him, no, sit on the side. We're going to watch this happen with Edwards and Booker during the Olympics, because one of those guys is going to be the odd man out as this goes along, because they're going to need Derek White's glue guy, his ability to play a little point guard, his ability to do a small ball guard lineup. And Booker or Edwards is probably going to lose minutes to him, would be my prediction. And then KD, when he comes back, same thing. So if you're building a no ego team and just not worrying about anything other than just putting the best players on, there's a Jaylen versus Booker argument. You'd probably take Chet over Embiid, so you don't have to worry about, well, what if Embiid gets mad? He only played 9 minutes in the gold medal game. You just take that off the table, and then Halliburton and White. But that's not what they did. So the thing with Jaylen, on paper, yeah. If Kawhi bows out, well, you replace him with a more durable, better version of a small forward who can guard different positions. That makes sense. But to me, it made sense not to have him because it brings up all the chemistry stuff that you want to avoid. Which brings me to the fifth thing I wanted to talk about. Everyone knew Derek White was going to get the Kawhi spot for a couple months. I knew in May. If Kawhi somehow wasn't ready to go, and by the way, tough blow for the Clippers, it wasn't going to be Jaylen, it was going to be Derek White. And I think Jaylen knew this too, but yet he said something anyway. And it was, when the Celtics have had a couple moments during this summer, right? Everything goes right in the playoffs, they win the title. What happens right after? All of a sudden, the owner is selling the team with Grossbeck. That makes me nervous. Now we have a little instability at the top. The Porzingis injury, which he played on in Game 5, and then it comes out, he's out for 6 months. Oof. Well, he's not back until December. Well, to me, that means February. I'm just assuming we're not seeing Porzingis until February. That would be the safe bet to me. So you have that. So now the Celtics, it's already hard enough to repeat. Now you have two major things going against you. And then you have this Jaylen thing, which, I don't want to throw a tantrum about it, but I didn't love it. A lot of people are asking me over the last couple of weeks, what'd you think of Jaylen saying what he said about how he, basically insinuating he should have made it over White, who's his teammate. And my answer was I didn't like it because it wasn't the kind of thing that would have happened before they won the title. Before they won the title, there was a selflessness to that team. That was one of the things that made it special. And even though Jaylen's right, and he should be one of the 12 guys in this team, if we were just picking a team of the 12 best guys, he should be on the team if we're doing that. But that's not what the team was. The team, they're trying to do all of these different things with the team, and White made more sense for it. So if he's going to express displeasure, if he's going to blame Nike or whatever, you have to do it through the prism of Derek White's an awesome player and he was a great choice. It's upsetting to me that I wasn't given a chance to compete for one of the forward spots. Some way to frame it that doesn't make it seem like you're kind of shitting on your teammate because he got picked over you. That's not the kind of stuff that was happening before they won the title. So as you know, I loved The Secret, which Isaiah Thomas revealed in 1989. I based it as a big premise around my basketball book. When we did the book of basketball stuff, I brought it back. And this was something he talked about during the 89 finals when he was in a press conference. And Isaiah said, I looked at Seattle, who won 1 year, and Houston, who got to the finals 1 year. They both self-destructed the next year. How come? I read Pat Riley's book, Showtime. He talks about the disease of more. A team wins it 1 year, and the next year, every player wants more minutes, more money, more shots, and it kills them. Our team has been up at the championship level 4 years now. We could have easily self-destructed. So I read what Riley was saying and I learned. I didn't want what happened to Seattle and Houston happen to us, but it's hard not to be selfish. The art of winning is complicated by statistics, which for us becomes money. But you've got to fight that, find a way around it. And I think we have, right? So you've heard me read that. And then the other thing he said was lots of times on our team, you can't tell who the best player in the game was because everybody did something good. That's what makes us so good. The other team has to worry about stopping 8 or 9 people instead of 2 or 3. It's the only way to win. The only way to win. It's the way the game was invented. There's more to that. You've got to create an environment that won't accept losing. I would argue that described what the Celtics were last year. There was selflessness to them. They didn't care who scored. They just wanted to win. They didn't care who got the attention. They just wanted to win. They wanted to show up, play for each other, and it was one of my favorite Celtics teams ever. And then a month and a half later, we have stuff like this, and it just makes me nervous because I think it's really hard to repeat. Once you win, you got what you wanted. Now people start veering toward what's best for them. And that's what the Jalen thing felt to me. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope this team's able to snap out of it. But if you're talking about disease and more champs, 67 Sixers, 71 Bucks, 75 Warriors, 77 Blazers, 79 Sonics, 80 Lakers, 92 Bulls. They ended up winning. 00 Lakers, they ended up winning. 04 Pistons, 06 Heat, 2010 Lakers, 16 Cavs, 18 Warriors. And really the 22 Warriors I have to count because the Jordan Poole Draymond thing happened right after, which was another one of those moments where you're like, that's a bad sign. I'm just pointing this out. I'm not panicking yet about the Celtics. I think they're fine. They have everybody coming back. Hopefully Porzingis will come back before the All-Star break. But I do wonder if like next June, if they don't win and we're looking back, we're like, man, remember June and July when like that happened and that happened, that happened. And it does feel a little piece of that. I wish Jalen didn't say that. And I love Jaylen Brown. And he's one of my favorite Celtics of the last 20 years. And I just think it was a bad moment. I don't think he should have done it. Last thing on the 6-pack, I'm going to make this my superior take. And it plays off what we just talked about with Boston. Just some little red flags. The Milwaukee Bucks are 15-1 on FanDuel, and Giannis is 6-1 on it for MVP. And they had the year from hell last year, right? Name it, it went wrong. Nobody has beaten a healthy Giannis since the 2022 Celtics beat them in 7, thanks to an insane Game 6 performance by Jason Tatum. And if you go look at that box score, there's no Chris Middleton in that series. Giannis had 46 and 20 in that game. It's not like he wasn't doing anything. And Tatum ends up just leaving his body, wins, go to Game 7. Grant Williams hits a bunch of threes. All of a sudden, the Bucks are out. And the next 2 years, a bunch of dumb shit happens, and Giannis isn't healthy in either playoffs. And now he's 30 years old. Dame's 33. Middleton's 33. And yet, I kind of like where the Bucks are because they're under the radar now. Nobody's talking about them, right? Even think about the Olympics. The Bucks are irrelevant in the Olympics basketball discussion. The 2 teams that in the summer got the most attention for moves in the East were Philly and the New York Knicks. You have Orlando got better, and Milwaukee's just kind of like, yeah, they won in 21, but now they're old. And so you have Dame coming back from a year from hell, no question. This is probably the biggest season of his career because if it doesn't happen this year, I don't know if it happens for him as the top 2 guy. They got a couple breaks. Porzingis being out for half the year. Embiid's out of shape. The Knicks never got a center. The Knicks, by the way, I agree with that. They could probably get a center in January, February. The big thing that I think slipped under the radar, they signed a bunch of guys who can play in a Game 7 for minimum contracts over the summer. They signed DeLon Wright, who I've always liked, who can absolutely play in a big game. Gary Trent, who was just sitting there for somebody to steal. A 3-and-D guy who hasn't really played with a point guard for the last couple of years, right? And has just been on these weird Toronto teams that keep changing their identities. But I don't. That guy's unafraid. I don't mind Gary Trent. And then Prince on the Lakers, who I didn't think had a great year, but guys have a tendency to not have awesome years sometimes in that LeBron AD infrastructure. As a 9th guy, he's going to be better than Jay Crowder and whoever. They're going to have Connaughton coming back. They still have Portis. And I kind of like their 9. And the big thing for me, Giannis, who in the last 6 years for MVP finished first, fourth, third, and fourth. For the last 6 years, he's 30, 12, and 6, just every season. And from a perception standpoint, Jokic passed him, Luka passed him, Wemby's coming, the Celtics have the best team. And he's just kind of over here. And he hasn't really played since March. And I just am expecting some insane Giannis, I'm taking back my turf territory. So, people think, sometimes when I talk about the Celtics, people think I'm doing like reverse jinxes, like people in my life. They're like, oh, you're just saying this because you're trying to jinx whoever. I'm the most worried about the Bucks in the East. That's where I've landed. That's where, I've had a little bit of a vacation the last few weeks. The Bucks are the scariest team to me. I'm not that worried about Philly. I think that's going to be, they have 2 of their top 3 are injury potential guys. They're throwing a whole bunch of dudes together. I still have some questions about Paul George and Philly, how that's going to play out over an 8-month span. The Knicks, there's going to be some weird minute stuff with them, with bringing Randall back, with who's going to finish games. They don't have enough size. I think they're really going to miss Hartenstein. Are they going to get the same healthy season for Brunson? And then you have Milwaukee, which is going to be stable. You have Doc add in the coaching staff like Missoula did over last summer, and 15-1 on FanDuel. Normally you don't get good odds on teams, but that, to me, that should be 10-1. And that was one that jumped out to me. And then the Celtics over under for wins on FanDuel was 58.5, which just seems too high to me if they're not going to have Porzingis for at least half the season. That feels like, to me, that should be maybe in the 54 range. Anyway, watch out for the Bucks. That's I said last year, don't watch out for the Bucks. I'm not buying it. This year I'm a little more intrigued. Anyway, that was today's 6 major things. And remember, get yourself a 6-pack of Michelob ULTRA, a Superior Light Beer, an official beer sponsor of Team USA. It's refreshing, crisp, only 95 calories. And here's another reason to like it. Michelob ULTRA is giving you the chance to take home the gold with superior access. You can win signed merch, a Visa gift card, and more. Head to MichelobUltra.com/superior access. Enjoy responsibly. 2024 Anheuser-Busch Michelob ULTRA Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri. Michelob ULTRA Superior Access Olympic Games, Paris 2024. Sweepstakes, no purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents, 21 plus, begins June 10th, 2024, ends August 11th, 2024. Multiple entry periods. See official rules at MichelobUltra.com/rules for free entry deadlines, prizes, and details. Message and data rates may apply. Void where prohibited.